Hello and welcome to the Sun Today for the 27th of April 2011. I'm Alex Young of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, sitting in for Dr. Keith Strong. This morning we had some small activity. We had a C2 flare from the northeast limb. Looking at the sunspot data, the sunspot group that was not numbered as of yesterday has now been numbered 1199. There's also a region down in the southeast that's been numbered 1200, and a region in the northeast that's just rotated onto the visible disk that has magnetic field associated with it, but as of yet no sunspot. And this is the region that produced the C2 flare. 1195 has decayed some, and 1197 and 1196 have remained about the same. We do not have video for the magnetic field and continuum data, but we can look at two stills side by side, and you can see the magnetic field that's associated with the various sunspot groups, and also the magnetic field in the northeast near the limb, which does not have a sunspot associated with it, but still produced the C2 flare. Now looking at the data from the AIA instrument on SDO, we can look at three different wavelengths, 304, 171, and 193, to give us three different temperature regions of material in the solar disk. And if you look in the northeast around 2 UT, you can see the eruption which produced the C2 flare, and as we'll show you in a second, also produced a CME. And look towards the northwest in the limb and see if you see a very quick eruption in the 304. We'll show you more of that in a second. Now looking at just the 304, you can see a very fast eruption of material. We call that a filament eruption, and it's produced the C2 flare, and it's also produced a CME. Looking at the LASCO data from the SOHO spacecraft, you can see the CME produced by that filament eruption in the northeast. Now we're going to go back to the 304 and now look towards the end of the movie up in the northwest, and you'll see a very, very quick flash of material coming away from the sun. This is actually coming from the backside, and we're still able to see it somewhat in the 304 image. This also produced a CME, which we're able to see with the stereo spacecraft. The stereo behind and ahead spacecraft are looking at the sun from the side, and we're able to see CMEs that are occurring on the backside. Now looking at the entire disk in the corona, we can see that there is a bright region that's now rotating onto the visible disk associated with some of the activity we saw this morning. Auroral activity is remaining low. The KP index is around 0. There's still coronal hole. We now expect to see the effects of the coronal hole, the high-speed solar wind stream, impacting the Earth probably this weekend. So those who are watching for aurora at higher latitudes, keep your eyes out around April 30th. The current conditions: sunspot number is 57, X-ray background is B3, the radio solar flux is 109 solar flux units, solar wind speed is down slightly to 367 kilometers per second, and the KP index is between 0 and 1 at quiet. Forecast: we expect to see more C flares possibly, very little chance of M and X flares, and still good chance of seeing more CMEs. The geomagnetic storm level is very low, but again we might see this elevated over the weekend as the high-speed solar wind stream impacts the Earth. Please come and fan us at The Sun Today, www.facebook.com/thesuntoday. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again tomorrow.